So welcome everybody to the weekly market analysis. Today, Monday the 6th of Feb. Alright, before we get started, please understand that any advice in today's session is of a general nature only and that your personal circumstances have not been taken into consideration. Alright, so let's just recap what has happened last week. What's the major talking points that we have. As I do that, I'll put up on my screen so that you can see the coming events for this week. I'll talk about this in a moment, but this is just so that you can digest it. Alright, so last week, let's start with the US dollar. It seems that at the moment the US dollar is caught up between a struggle between the economics and the politics. We saw the non-farm payroll number increase by 227,000 new jobs in January, but the wage growth, it wasn't quite as impressive. Essentially what this basically meant, and we would have seen on Friday that the US dollar went both directions, and this was also because of the politics that I've been talking about, and predominantly about the Trump new government. Essentially the wage growth, but what this basically means is that the Fed Reserve is now more than likely going to be pausing before further interest rates again, and it almost certainly takes March off the table now as a potential rate increase. Now we've seen this before. We saw it last year. We saw the year prior to that where we've been promised, or we've been entering the year with the anticipation that it could be a year of interest rates tightening for the US dollar, and then we have data that shows us the contrary. So it remains to be seen. The three increases now that the Fed Reserve was talking about doesn't seem so much on the cards, and that's predominantly why we got a lot of US dollar weakness, particularly towards the end of the week when non-farm came out. In England, the GBP, nearly all of the latest economic reports that were released last week were disappointing, with manufacturing, service and construction activity slowing down, consumer credit dropping, and it seems that all these are the early effects of Britain's decision to leave the European Union, which more than likely lead to more weakness to follow. So these are all the fundamental sides. So remember, when we trade technically, we're still looking for trades that technically are correct, when they support what we may think fundamentally is occurring. It's when it gives us that warmer, nicer feeling about everything. Last week I did mention that the Bank of Japan was giving us monetary policy decisions. Essentially they left everything unchanged at the start of the week, but then later on Friday they took the yen on a little bit of a roller coaster ride when they bought fewer bonds than expected. Now of course the way that we tighten our monetary policies is by buying bonds or selling bonds. It essentially sucks cash out of the economy or injects extra cash into the economy, which basically weakens the currency. Now they bought fewer than expected. Initially the yen shot higher, but then it went back down as they announced that they were planning to buy unlimited amounts of bonds until the CPI target was reached as soon as possible. So the yen a little bit seesaw and all over the place. Aussie dollar was the best performing currency last week, and that pretty much wraps up what's happened. So what's happening this week, there are a couple of key things, and it's a lot closer to home. It starts off where we've already had the retail sales number come out a few hours ago. Aussie dollar, we have the RBA announcement. Nobody really expects interest rates to change, but nevertheless it comes out tomorrow, the first Tuesday of the month, and it's followed with a statement. So what we're looking for in the statement is to see if they can give us their opinion on the health check of our economy. Okay, so that's that one. We also have the New Zealand, the RBNZ also does their interest rates announcements. Now this one's more closer to a 40-60% chance of a change, and keep an eye out on that if you're trading New Zealand dollar. Okay, later in the week we also have the statement on Friday. Trade balance from China So there's a lot of actually Australian affecting news this week. Employment change for Canada, and a quieter week for the US dollar in terms of data at least. I think the currency for this week that's going to be the most susceptible to data is going to be our own Aussie dollar, our Aussie USD. So please take note of these times. These times are in my local Australian Eastern Standard Daylight Savings Time, and just make sure that you don't get caught up in a trade that you were not intending to get caught up on. Alright, so let's move on. Let me bring my charts forward. Let's start to analyze what's taking place, and let me have a look. Alright, so here we go. Let's kick off with the Aussie dollar. Alright, so I put out this particular trade, I think it was last week, via the daily call, which was that really nice inside candle. Now this trade's gone on, and even though fundamentally, see, this is one of the reasons why I always try to trade what I see and not what I believe, because at the start of last week we were thinking and anticipating massive dollar strength from a fundamental point of view, which would basically mean that you would want to be a seller of the Aussie dollar. Nevertheless, we had a setup come up that said to buy, and so I called it out in the daily call, and it turns out it was a really good trade. You can see there it's more than done 2 to 1. It's done about 2.5 to 1, and essentially now what we're really looking for, this level is not the same level as that, so we're not quite at the same level. I'm not ready to look for a sell, so the options that I have with my Aussie dollar are as follows. I could wait till I get towards here and look for an attempt to sell of a double top and run it into some kind of headwind, into resistance. Okay, the alternative is we wait for this to pull back down again into the channel, look for a price action opportunity, and continue with the trend. Okay, the trend is definitely established. This high has been taken out. The next major obstacle is essentially this high level over there. So everything is set, and probably the one that's going to be the most likely is this trade over here. Now of course if I see it I will call it out, and we will try and find the best opportunity. At the moment we are in sit and wait mode with the Aussie dollar. Some of you may still be in a trade if you're a longer term trade, but if you had traded this particular setup here, your trade's finished. Should have been finished right now, unless you're attempting to go for like 4 to 1 target or something in that nature. Okay, so that's the Aussie dollar. That's what I can see for us this week, and of course we do have major impacting news that could jolt us around and set up, provide us with the moves that we need to give us the setups that we're looking for. Euro USD. Okay, I want to highlight something over here, and this just goes to, I got stopped out on a Euro USD trade last week, and I just want to highlight the nature of the beast when it comes to trading. Okay, now the trade that we had seen, and I think we took the trade live in this class last week, was these two candles over there. Okay, now at the time we had the fractal on the red candle, and we had said that we've established a trend moving forward. It's pushed up, pulled back, and it seemed like a legitimate trade inside the trend type of trade. Okay, now consequently what happened, the trade triggered, it triggered us, and then went straight down and basically stopped us out. Alright, so we got stopped out. Straight away the very candle that gives us a stop out also gives us an engulfing pattern set up to take the same trade again. So the irony of it, the very trade that stopped us out also gives us a brand new entry into the trade. Okay, so effectively if you're true to your word and you take the trade, what should have happened is you should have entered at the open of this one because it's an engulfing candle, and this time you can see over here it hasn't quite hit 2 to 1, but it's been very, very, very close. Alright, so price action stopped us out and gave it back to us again. This just goes to highlight how your mental willpower and your psychology with your method and stipulating exactly every type of condition that you can think of into your trading plan can allow you to take the trade again. So for example, do you guys have anything written in a trading plan that says what happens if I get stopped out and I get a setup straight away again? Okay, so have you ever considered that? And this is what I'm trying to highlight for us today. This is something that you should consider, and something that should be taken into account into your plan. Just a couple of questions, give me one moment. I'm being asked, how do I change my time to Sydney time? Are you referring to my charts, Willie? Okay, alright, so that's the EURUSD. I just wanted to bring this to your attention. Alright, so let me see what have we got this time round. If I'm trying to get some kind of a trade off this level to shoot down in this direction, there was this setup here. However, this is the beauty of price action. If you notice, it never triggered, and instead this candle went above here, so basically there's no trade there, and right now we have nothing. Okay, so I have nothing on the EURUSD. What I would really like to see is I would like to see this break through, then come back, give me the setup that I'm looking for, and then take the trade. Okay, alternatively, I'd like to see a really, really nice clear-cut entry here to go into this direction, which I don't have right now at this minute. Let me see if I go to a 4-hour chart, if I can get a bit cheeky. There's nothing here either. Okay, so EURUSD, I've got nothing. A couple of questions, one moment. Someone's asking me, so even if the engulfing candle is bearish, does it still count? Look, I count it. I would prefer that it's the correct color, but I actually don't mind, because what does the color really mean? Okay, what's more important is that the market has traded in a wider range. Okay, the color just means it ended a little bit lower than where it started, but it doesn't change the fact that the market traded in a wider range. Okay, does that answer your question, Craig? Carlos is asking, how soon should we cancel a trade that is starting to lose? Can anybody help, Carlos? How soon should we stop a trade that is starting to lose? How soon do we stop it? Anybody want to answer that? When you answer it, I'll read it out. I'll come back to you, Carlos. Craig says, stick to your rules. What do your rules say? So that means for me, it's where I put my stop loss. Okay? So thank you, everybody. So whatever your trading rules say, Carlos, that's when you should end the trade. So, and in my case, it's where I put my stop loss, and until that stop loss gets hit, I do not touch the trade. Okay? Alright, so the EURUSD has got nothing. Just going back to Willie's question about the times, when you're on the website, Willie, there is a little time indicator. Give me 1 second. I'm not promoting anybody's website here, but I'll just show, because many of you realize where I get my times from. Give me 1 second. So if I go to Forex Factory, this is where I pick up my times from. Willie's asking me, how do I get these times to be my local time? See this little button here? Click on it, and then here choose your local time, which is Australia for me, and then tell it if you're in daylight savings time, yes or no. Save your settings, and then it'll work. Now you'll know that it works because the little, see here, I don't know if you can read this, it says 3:46. That should match my local time. Okay, there you go. Clear, Willie? Fantastic. Okay, let's move on. GBPUSD. Okay, this is one that I called out today in the daily call. It's on a 4-hour chart. Now, I'm on a different size screen at the moment than I was this morning, so it sometimes doesn't look as good. This is a little bit of a strange one. I'm right now that the markets are really not giving me much, so I'm trying my best to find you the highest probability charts. It doesn't mean you guys got to trade them. It just, you can use that chart of the day as confirmation to see if you were able to find that chart, or if you were not able to find it. And of course, if you like the trade, of course, feel free to take it. Now, this one's a little bit strange looking in the sense that we have this section down here, but nevertheless, you know, the points are valid. That's 1, 2, and this is 3 valid points. So a couple of things is going to happen over here. Either we're going to bounce again, or we're going to shoot straight through it, and both are a legitimate trading options. Someone's saying this is perhaps a head and shoulder pattern. Yeah, I can see what you're saying. So we're saying basically there's a shoulder, there's the head, there's the second shoulder, and if it breaks, effectively my line becomes the neckline as well. So that means it would support this trade there. It's not your most classic of head and shoulders, but it's a type. So thank you for that. So if that's the case, there's a higher probability that we could take the trade in this direction. So if we're going to trade it as a head and shoulders, and I haven't gone through this in details with you guys. Now Paul's saying that this shoulder here is higher than the head. Okay, now in theory it's not, because you should measure it directly in this direction, and when you measure it directly in this direction, can you see that it's a little bit lower? Can you see that, Paul? So again, I'm not going to trade this because it was the head and shoulders, because I don't think it's the sweetest pattern. I'm only answering what Lindsay brought to my attention. I'm actually looking for this trade. Okay, but what I'm trying to say is, if you are going to try and trade it as a head and shoulders, it's not the most classic one, but it technically is a head and shoulders. Okay, so this shoulder is actually smaller than the head. If the shoulder cannot be bigger than the head, otherwise it's not the head and shoulder pattern. Okay, so if you're going to trade it, let me zoom in, as a proper head and shoulder pattern, there's two options. You can either wait for a candle to close below the neckline, and then you enter the trade. Now I'm on a 4-hour chart, so basically you would have to wait 4 hours close and then you start the trade. Or the other way that you can do it is, as soon as you take out the last significant low, you can just put a pending order to go for it straight away, which would basically mean here. So you could have a pending order straight away to go in this direction, and that would be considered a more aggressive entry into the market. Okay, so those are your two options. At the moment, we've produced yet another inside candle, so we've got 1, 2, 3, we've got 4 in a row. This one's going to break out shortly, so if it breaks on the upside, we can take our price action trade up. If it breaks on the downside, this order is automatically cancelled. Okay, now it's still valid, it has not triggered yet, so the trade that I was trying to call out this morning is this one here. the one that moves forward, and your entry point should have been lowered to there. That's your entry point now. Okay, so let's see if it breaks up and triggers, or if it breaks down you cancel it. So if it does break down and you still want to try and get a trade out of it, you might want to go for it at this level in that direction. Is that clear for everybody? Does everybody understand the two options that we have with this particular GBPUSD? Alright, let me move on. Let's see what we have with the US yen. Okay, why have I got this level? Let me have a look. Okay, so I'm still marking at that level. We still have not reached this line, so there's an option to look for that. Let me zoom in a little bit. It's frustrating that we didn't get an entry there, so we didn't get nothing. Probably on a 4 hour there might be something. Let's have a look. Doesn't look good on a 4 hour. Okay, what I've seen from my experience of just looking at lots and lots of charts over time, I don't really have a name for what I call it, but the best way that I can describe this particular pattern, and it occurs a lot, and you'll see it, you'll get used to it. It's kind of like the way that a tennis ball bounces on a table and then falls off the table. So basically the ball comes, bounces, 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 and then rolls, and then just falls off the table. Okay, does that analogy make sense to everybody? So it keeps coming to a level, so that the psychology behind such a pattern is that the market is driving it down, but there's a lot of stubbornness in the market that wants to buy it back. Okay, it comes down again, they buy it back, but every time it comes down, let's just say there was, you know, like 1 million stubborn buyers. Every time it comes down, now there's only 900,000 of them, then there's only 700, until eventually they give up and they realize we're fighting a lost cause, and then bang, and it just drops down. Can you understand the analogy behind that, guys? And with everything that I try and trade, I'm always more interested in what my competitors, in sense of what are the other market movers, retail, whether they're retail or fundamental or fund managers or whoever they are, what's their thought process in the market. And that's the way that I read this one. I would guess that there's a higher probability that this will fall down rather than go up. Nevertheless, I will still only trade what we see. Okay, so with that in mind, I'm going to draw a new level right here. I think that's about the level there. Okay, and if I'm going to use price action type entry, if I get a candle that closes, looks something like that, I'm ready to jump on it. Okay, and I'm on a daily candle. Forget about all the fundamentals, just trade what you see. That's what the pattern says. Let's see what happens. Okay, let's move on. That's our US yen plan. Euro yen. Okay, this one's a bit more mismatched. It's just like it's ranging. Okay, I have this urge to box this up, and I'm not going to take any action until I leave this region, unless I decide that I might want to trade like that or like this. Okay, so until that happens, I'm really not interested in this particular pattern right now. I'm actually more interested in it leaving in either direction, and I don't care which way, and that'll give me much nicer setups that I'm looking for. Kiwi dollar. Okay, Kiwi dollar. Now remember, we have RBNZ rate announcement this week with Kiwi dollar. There is actually quite a bit of news on Kiwi, so I want to highlight something to you. I called this trade out last week. Let me just draw it for you so everybody can see it, just in case nobody can see it. That's what I drew. It was on the daily call. I got stopped out on this one, and I had taken an engulfing candle. The red one was engulfing this green one. Okay, so remember, the engulfing pattern is always a little bit more aggressive because you're jumping in on the trade straight away. Now, usually after the engulfing candle, when we saw this on Monday in the afternoon, I had called it out in the morning, and in the afternoon I took the trade live in the room with you guys. Now and I said you have two options, guys. You can either jump in right now as the engulfing and you're going to get a little bit of a better entry, or if you're more conservative, forget about the engulfing, draw an inside candle, which is there, and trade an inside candle situation. Okay, now the drawback of the inside candle is that you would get triggered at the break here, which would be lower, whereas we entered, I think, somewhere in there. Does everybody remember what I'm talking about, guys? Can I just get some confirmation that you're still with me and I'm not just talking on my own? Thank you. Alright, so the drawback is that you've got a worse entry, but the pro to it was that it may actually break the top and then there is no trade at all. So if you were trading the inside candle, you would have had protection, and this trade you would not have taken it. I traded the engulfing candle, so I got stopped out. Alright, so why am I telling you these things? Because you need to find where you sit with your comfort zone. Okay, we can find millions and millions, literally millions of styles of trading, and the style that's going to work for you is the one that you psychologically can handle the best in your mind. Okay, I know for a fact that inside candles are very high probability trades, and they're psychologically relatively easy for like moderate risk takers to take. Now, the fact that you're in this room, you all must be at least moderate risk takers, otherwise you wouldn't even consider trading, full stop. Okay, so if you're a little bit more aggressive and you really like the pattern, now that was a solid line, so I looked at that and I said, I'm in straight away, so I'm happy, and I got stopped out, and there's nothing wrong with that. Okay, the point is you need to find your balance point. Okay, and shortly, I'm just preparing some material, but shortly we're going to be starting a trading challenge, and this is going to give you the opportunity to find where you fit, where are you in your tolerance levels, and also for you to trade with me and watch me trade my live account to see how we go. Alright, so we got stopped out on that one. There's a good lesson to learn out of it, so I just highlighted it. Cost me some money, but it's a good lesson for you guys to learn. Okay, so what do we have right now? I'm trying desperately to make this line fit again, and I kind of can. However, the candle with a fractal is this one up here. So I got nothing for you on the Kiwi dollar. So what we need to wait for, we'll still, now I can get rid of this line now, so there's no point in having it anymore. We need to wait for a pullback before we can get our entry level. That's probably our best bet. At the moment, it seems we're in trend. Now, I think with the nature of news and data that's coming out this week, we will probably jolt out of this region very, very shortly, one way or another. Okay? Alright, let's move on. USCAD. USCAD was a very strong moving currency last week. It had a relatively good week. I'm talking Canadian. Okay, so if the US CAD drops down, it means either the US is going weak or the Canadian is going strong, or both. Do you think we're at some kind of support level, guys? What do you think of this level here? Sometimes they're not perfect. I can see that there's something there, there's something there again, definitely there. Okay, it's not super clean. There could be something there, and only wicks have gone through. In any case, okay, so I'll leave that line there, but in any case, I don't have the price action. See, this was the inside candle there. However, we broke the bottom, which basically means cancel your order out, and you did not trigger into this trade. Oh, okay, US CAD, I can't do nothing. I really want to, but I can't. Alright, so the best plan here is wait for a pullback and then let's see if we can hit it. Okay, let's move along. Aussie 200. Oh, this is another one that looks like that bouncy ball type setup where the ball comes bounce, 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 bounce. Hasn't bounced enough yet. Let's see a 4-hour chart. Okay, on a 4-hour chart, if anybody's interested in this level looks a lot nicer to me. See if we can get price action there to go for the bounce. Now, the only thing that I would do if you're going to try and take this trade, I would also draw a line across here, because it's really more like a triangle, and make sure that we have enough room to get to this level. So if you trigger a trade here and your stop is there, just make sure that this distance is at least 1-to-1 to support your trade. Okay, Alan's saying he's still in a buy here. Oh, I know which trade you're in, Alan. So you would be in from possibly that one there. Yep. Okay. So this was a classic pullback setup and buy. So let's see if we hold, if the level holds, which would be good, and hopefully we can break that line to continue to move forward. Okay. But at the moment, the way I see it right now, I just as a brand new chart over here, if we get what we're looking for, otherwise there's nothing on for us. Okay. One thing that I will point out to you guys as well is if we're in a trade from last week or something like that, and then all of a sudden today we see something different, don't be disencouraged by it, and make sure that you refer to your trading rules just to see that it tells you what to do next. Okay, because last week this was like a very, very nice setup. It was a classic setup, so it doesn't change the fact that at the time that we saw it, it met every rule that we had. So because now that you might see something different, you've got to stick by your guns, or at least refer to your trading rules so that your trading rules tells you what to do next. Alright, oil. Okay, we're still stuck in this range. We're not moving anywhere. Let's see on a 4-hour chart, see if we... no setups. Nothing. Okay, look, with oil, just hang tight on it. If you do get a setup on the fringe, that's the only thing I can see, but make sure it's right on the fringe or in this direction like that. Okay. Alright guys, does anybody have any questions? Anything that you'd like to, it can be off topic. We haven't been doing the Thursday classes as often as we have, so please use the Monday as your opportunity to bring any question that you have. I don't mind if it's off the topic. I'm sure everybody will get a benefit from it. I'm more than happy to answer it. Give you an opportunity to type anything in. I'll just go back and recap what we're doing. Aussie dollar. We're waiting for a pullback to see if we can get a pullback entry into trend continuation. So that's what we're looking for. Euro USD. We're at a head spot. We don't have a sell set up, so we just wait for this one either to break through and pull back so we can enter. GBPUSD, we have pending orders in the market. We have a pending order here if you're trading the daily call trade. Alternatively, you could have a pending order down there somewhere into this direction. It's a tightening market. Okay, so definitely it's gonna break away one direction or the other. So keep an eye on it. Alan, I'll have a look at gold in one moment. I just don't have it on my charts. I don't know what happened there. US yen, bouncy ball type scenario. Let's see if it falls through like we're looking for. Euro yen, we're doing nothing. We're in a congestion zone. Kiwi dollar, we're waiting for a pullback. USCAD, we waiting for a pullback. We don't have a setup to trade off this floor. ASX, again, bouncy ball type setup. Oil, nothing. Let me have a look at gold. Give me 1 second. Where is gold? Gold. Okay. The good thing is we've taken out these highs. It looks like we've taken them out, so I would expect this to move forward. Then when it comes back, that's where I'm looking to get my trade in this direction, on the assumption that we're going to get continuance or trade continuation type trend. Other than that, there's nothing on gold right at this moment other than what I've just drawn on my charts. Okay, someone's asking, can I have a look at the Aussie CAD? Yes, I can. Aussie CAD, here we go. Okay, can everybody see what I'm trying to get out of this? Now there's only a couple of things that I need to consider first. First of all is, if I was trading trend, I may be in a trade here in this direction already. Now that trade there would have triggered, stops there. This trade would be very close to 1-to-1. Let me just measure it out. It's about 75-ish, 85. So the 1-to-1 point may have hit already, okay, for the forward trade. So I prefer trend lines better than trend. We've already established that. I'm sure I've said that in the past. Okay, so if anybody's interested in this, what I would be looking at trading is the break of this. There's an inside candle there. That's what I'm looking at on a resistance line. So I would be interested in perhaps trading the break off there. Okay, there you go. Gold sell off 50% retracement question mark. Give me 1 second. Let me see. Gold. Okay, let me go back to gold. Okay, what Lindsay is saying is that, you know, if you take a point up there somewhere to down here, this level here is the 50% level. Is 50% a Fibonacci number, guys? Yes or no? Quick quiz. 50% a Fibonacci number? Yes or no? Got 50-50 answers at the moment. If you don't know, type in a question mark. Okay, the answer is no. 50% is not a Fibonacci number. People put it on their charts because sometimes the market can come back halfway, but it's not really a Fibonacci number. I can't really find a reason to take a trade on gold. Although it has come back to this level, yes, I understand that. I would have been happy if it was a 61.8 level. So I got nothing on this one. Okay, thanks Lindsay for that. Yeah, I can see what you're saying prior to the swing. I understand. It's still not. It's not something that I, at least in my trading rules, or forms part of the way that I like to analyze the market. So, okay. Any other questions, anyone, before we wrap up today? Okay, guys, keep. I produce the daily call for you guys every morning, so you know, watch it, send it to your friends. You know, we appreciate it. The more people watch it, the more I feel like doing it. But if no one's looking at it, then it takes up a lot of my time. I am quite busy. Try and take advantage of these Monday sessions. It's the only time that you've really got me with my undivided attention. So bring in any questions that you have throughout the week, because I specifically block out this section of my week to be a trader again, and it's something that I am passionate about and that I like. So please, anything that you have during the week, write it, bring it in, and I'm more than happy to try and assist you with it. Alright, that wraps up for today. I will show you again the last when data is coming out. Here it is again. These are the events of the week. Just remember, Reserve Bank of Australia tomorrow, cash rates, and New Zealand Reserve Banks is on Thursday morning. So those are the two highest impacting pieces of news that are coming out. Other than that, I hope you all have a fantastic week. Any questions, as always, bring them next week. I prefer to answer them live, but if not, just email me. More than happy to help. Have a great trading week. I'll speak to you soon. Bye for now.